All right, we left off. The last thing we talked about was a couple of the string methods, like char at. Okay, let's play with that for a little bit. I want to go back and reiterate char at just a little bit, if y'all don't mind. I can bring up my file here. Remember we did this? Anyone remember what the output is for this? The char at of 1.
K. E. Capital K. Or yeah. E.
E. All right, let's run and see what we get. I hear an E and a K.
Lowercase e.
All right, we get a lowercase e because remember, char at starts with a 0. Okay. Now, what if I wanted to loop through this? Does anyone have a clue how I could loop through this? Have we covered loops at all yet? I don't think we have we? Have we? We talked about them in pseudocode. We haven't covered them in Java yet. I'm just going to show you a couple things that you will use later on, but I'm going to write this part for us. I equals 0. I is less than. Remember we talked about that incrementer? Remember that? Y'all remember that? I'll show you what we can do with this. Line all this up, make it all pretty. See how many typos I got. Alright. Alrighty, what I did here, since we're talking about string methods, I'll show you another one that's covered in the book. I don't know if it's covered exactly yet, but there's since name is the string, okay, there's name is a string. Everybody see that, hopefully. Since name is a string, one of the other methods I can use for them is the length. It actually returns the length of it. So, since char at starts at 0, what do you think length would return for our name? Actually returns 3. Isn't it kind of screws people up? So that's why I said that, to throw you off. And it did. It threw you off. But length would actually return a 3. So I just made a loop here. Starts at 0. It continues as long as I is less than the length of Ken, which is 3. So it'll do 0, 1, and 2. And the way this loop works, okay, we're going to cover this more. But it starts at 0. Then it checks, is it length, is it less than the length? Yes, it is. So it prints this. It calls name.char at. We've already covered char at. But this time I put a variable here. I put I. That's that variable right here, I. So what it's going to do is, since I starts at 0, the first time running through, char at's going to use a 0. Then it's going to increment to a 1. Then it's going to check, is 1 less than the length? So is 1 less than 3? Sure, we're still good. So it's going to print with a char at of 1. Then it's going to increment to 2. Is 2 less than 3? Sure. So it's going to get down here, print 2, which would be an n. Then it increments to 3. Then it says, is 3 less than 3? No, and it quits. Okay, so let me run this. There we go. So I very easily loop through my name and output it on the screen. Okay, so just another thing you can use. All right, length, very nice to use. Char at, very nice to use. Okay, all right. The next thing they talk about. Oh, length was in there. Duh. Okay, length is in there. Yeah, let's just output the length of our string here again. So I could always go in here and say system.out.print, spell it right. So that'll output a 3. So it's now outputting the length of my name. Then we loop through it. Easy enough? Everybody got length? Pretty simple, actually. Actually, excessively simple. It says return the number of characters in a string. So what is the output of this right here? Anybody? This code.
It'd be 2.
It'd be a 2 because we have a string called S that's of length 2 because it's HI. So we're outputting S.length. So output a 2. Is S a good name for a variable?
No, I wouldn't say.
Probably not. But it's just like I did in my loop here of I. Is I really a good name for a variable? No. A lot of times you'll see it in loops, but if you're trying to use something that, maybe count or something like that, something like that would be more meaningful. Okay? But I do them as well. A lot of times I'll use short names and I'll go back and change them and make them all pretty and everything. Just make sure when you do that, you compile. A lot of people will do that. They'll go back and say, okay, I'm all done now. I'm going to change this to count, change this to count, and then they forget to change it in one place. And it doesn't work. So just watch for that. All right. So everybody okay on length? Pretty simple to use. All right. Now there's one called equals ignore case. There's a couple different areas in the book that talks about this. It's chapter 3, obviously, but it's also covered in chapter 13, like on page 513 maybe? I can't remember the exact page, but it's also covered in there again. That just happens to be covered in my other class right now is why I remember that. So, all right. Now, we got to test for equality. We can either use equals or equals ignore case. Okay? So let's talk about what this program does. Actually, I'm going to take this program and put it in my program. Then we're going to talk about what it does, if I can get it. Well, I got to get a copy of it here. That's this one here. There it is. Let's copy this baby. Put it in my code and see what it does. I'm going to comment all this other stuff out in case I need it. Alright, here's his code. Alright, so the first one here, we have a string called animal1, a string called animal2. We're assigning a values a horse and a fly. Then we're having a string called new creature. Alright. So what's new creature going to be? Anybody? What?
Horse fly.
Horse fly, because animal, and then what is this? It's a string concatenation character in this use. It's a plus, but when used with strings, it's string concatenation. So horse plus fly. Okay. So new creature is equal to horse fly. Okay. Now we're saying system.println new creature equals horse fly with a capital F, horse fly with a lowercase f, and then equals ignore case with a lowercase f. So what do you think equals does? Anybody?
Leaves that value.
It's acceptable.
It's comparing this value right here, new creature, to this string. Okay? So new creature is our string. So we're saying, does new creature equals this? Is it equal to? It does a string, a character by character comparison. All right. So what will that return, you think? The first line. Anybody? What do you think?
Horse fly with capital H and capital F.
Okay. Well, it actually returns just true or false. So basically it can be used to check for equality. So the first one should be true because it matches this up here. The second one should be false because the F doesn't match. Then the third one, the F doesn't match again, but now we're saying equals ignore case. So let's see what it does. All right. Uh-oh, did I do something wrong?
You got an extra brace at the bottom when you copy the main.
Oh.
Main.
All right, there you go. Thank you. All right. So I get true, false, true. Again, this first one's true. Let me get rid of this. It moves over a little. It's true because they match perfectly. This is false because the F does not match. This is true because now we're using equals ignore case. Kind of handy to use.
But
Okay.
the H doesn't match either on the second one, so why just the F?
Oh, okay, you're right. The H and the F are both wrong.
Oh.
Yeah. Actually, let's test that. Let's make sure. Now the F matches, the H doesn't. Okay?
Still gonna say false.
Still false. So let's make it F with the capital H. Make sure we're not doing something weird here. Still false. To make it work, they would both have to match, just like the top one, and now it would be true. Alright. So it says to compare strings for equality, use the equals method, use equals ignore case for case insensitive inequality. It's actually used quite a bit because a lot of times, people say enter yes. What do you enter? Uppercase or lowercase? Most time people enter lowercase, but sometimes they enter uppercase. So it's a good idea to check for both. Or use equals ignore case. Alright. Now there's a couple of things I want to cover with strings beforehand. Something you kind of need for your next program. Alright. I'm going to dump this, since we just covered that. Okay. I'm going to bring my thingy back in here. Okay, actually, I don't need the loop. I'm going to change this to caret. So what am I going to get with a caret of 2? 10. Alright, what if I want to convert that to an ASCII value?
That was,
Actually, what if I want to output the first initial of my name, but I want its ASCII value?
was it the integer?
Okay, let's try int. We got a 110. Is that correct? Well, let's find out. So we did 2, so that's a lowercase n. Lowercase n is 110. So it did it perfectly. Everybody see that? But what if I want to output the ASCII value of my first initial? How would I do that? Anybody?
Caret 0.
Yeah.
So I did caret 0. And what should I get as a result? 75?
Yep.
Alright. Let's check it. 75. Alright. Now what if I want to output the last character of my name? So we do int.
So you're listing both
So what am I going to get? What do you think?
K
The whole
and
name?
lowercase n.
Actually, let me make my name uppercase just so the numbers are closer together.
You're not gonna get what you want.
Alright. So am I going to get a 75 for the K and a 78 for the N?
It's adding the 2
I
values.
thought they were gonna.
Would you have to do a separate line underneath it?
I want them both in the same line.
Parentheses separating or before and after the plus sign.
You have to trick it into doing
You have to
concatenation
convert it
instead
to
of-
a string.
instead of addition.
What's happening is it's seeing an integer value and an integer value. That's all it's seeing with a plus between them. It's saying, hey, we're talking just integers here, so I want to do some math. So instead of a 75 and a 78, I'm getting whatever they add together, the 153. Okay, what you can do is you can actually trick it. Now I converted it to a string. So I told it to take the 75, concatenate it with nothing, then concatenate with the 78. Now watch what happens.
No space though.
Well, I can always put a space if I want to.
Was it slash L or
T?
line for the new line?
Yeah, but I want it on the same line.
Oh, same line. Okay.
Well, what if I want to put a tab between them? What's the tab? Anyone remember? A lot of people do this. That work?
I can't remember what the
No,
single
you're
was.
supposed to.
That'll
Yeah,
work.
that works.
Well, let's try it. See what we get. Screw that one up real well. You can use that inside of a string as well. Okay, because you got to convert the thing to a string. And there's many ways to do that. You know, if I didn't want this between it, you know, I just wanted this, I could have told it a string at the beginning. Would have done the same thing. You just have to tell it somehow to convert it to a string. Okay? But since if you want to put them all in the same line with a tab between them, just do that. Easy enough. Okay? There's a very good reason why I'm making you do this.
It's part of the homework.
It's part of the homework, and so many people miss that part. Okay? So everybody okay on how to print like the first and last character?
So you don't even have to put it right there in between them. They can be at the beginning of the statement. Is what you,
Right,
what
yeah.
you
But if I want a tab between them, I might as well put it in between them. Now, what if I want to output the first and last, just like we did, but I want it to work for any length name. So now my name is Steven. Is that going to work?
Yeah.
I got an 83 and a 69.
So I'm doing the S and the E.
So I got an 83, which is an S. I got a 69, so I got an E. That's not an N. How can I modify this to give me the last character? Something we just covered.
Take the value of, or the number of characters.
Okay.
Add it to.
How can I find out the number of characters in the name?
It was the. It was
I plus plus or
Length -1.
How about the length? Remember that? Then subtract 1 from it. Let's try it. 83 and 78. Is 78 an N? Sure enough. Now let's try it with Ken again. And we should get a 75 and a 78. Is that correct? 75 and 78. So you can combine these together is my point here. You can do char at, and instead of hard coding a value, you can tell it to do some math. Get the length and subtract 1 from it. So there's all kinds of stuff. And there's a lot of other methods as well. So is everybody okay on equals and equals ignore case? Can we use that inside of an if statement maybe? What do you think? Alright, I want to check if my name is equal to Ken in uppercase. How can I write an if statement to check if my name is equal to Ken in uppercase? I only want to output this stuff if it's done that way. What do you think?
If it's only in uppercase.
It's only in uppercase. So what methods did we just learn how to do for equality?
You go if the integer is between the values of.
Well, I mean the whole thing. I want to check if the name is basically the same. Either uppercase or lowercase. I just want to see if the name matches. What did we just learn about for doing equality?
Dot equals Ken.
Okay, so we can do dot equals. Okay, so I can do name dot equals. If I spell my name right. Okay, so that should work, shouldn't it? Okay, 75 and 78, and let me do something here and say.
Is all this in this book?
Oh yeah, totally. It's all in chapter 3.
I'm looking in the wrong chapter now.
Yeah, we're in chapter 3. Okay, so let's see. So what's it going to output? Same or different? Same. What if I change it to that?
Different.
Everybody see that? I think I just did your homework for you. Pretty much all of it. Okay. Everybody okay on the whole equals, ignore, equals and equals, ignore case and all that? Okay. All right, so we talked about equals, we talked about equals, ignore case. Now let's talk about the scanner class, okay? Prior to like version 1.62 or something, no, 1.4, whatever, some version, it wasn't built in, okay? But what they've done in the meantime, they wrote it for us. It says, provide us a pre-written class named the scanner class, which allows us to get input from the user. Okay? It says to tell the compiler you want to use it, you must use the import statement. So I must use this import.java.util.scanner. Okay? And it's got to go at the very top of my program. Import java.util.scanner.
So this has to go at the very top, like after your introduction, your file, or whatever.
Right, after your prologue stuff, yes. And we got our comment stuff up here. All that stuff up
So
here.
it goes before the public.
Exactly. It could actually go before the prologue, but normally you have it after that, but before the public. Okay? If I go to compile this, so what is this doing for my program?
allowing you to input statements in it.
Okay, but I mean, what is this actual statement doing? I mean, yeah, it's going to give me the input to get input. I mean, the ability to get input. But it's telling my program, hey, when you run this thing, import from the java.utility.scanner class. Import that functionality into my program. It just got smarter. Okay? So we just taught it something new. And now it knows how to get input. Okay? So that's what we did. It says, tell the compiler you want to use it. Insert that at the very beginning of your program, right after the prologue. And above the main. Okay? Alright. Now, at the beginning of your main method, insert this statement. Alright? Scanner.stdin. See with a new scanner. Alright, let's do that. Let's add that in there. Not on. Jeez, can't type tonight. Alright. What I just told it was, okay, we have a new data type. You know how we have int and long and float and double and string? Now we have something called scanner. Well, what is a scanner? Well, we know about it because we imported it. So we have a new data type called scanner. So this stdin, what type is it?
Integer. Well, it's a
It's string.
string.
It's a scanner.
That name could be
You're
anything.
trying to trick us.
Right. This name could be, I could call this a puppy.
Scanner puppy.
Puppy, what type of variable is puppy?
It's a
Scanner.
okay.
Okay, what type is keyboard? What type of variable is keyboard?
Scan.
Scanner. So it really doesn't matter what I call it. I can call it anything. Okay? So what is keyboard equal to? Well, keyboard is equal to a new instance of the scanner class. Because we know what that is because we imported it at the top. So it's a new instance of it. We haven't used that yet. But what part of the scanner class specifically? The system.in. Because I want to get input. Alright? So I'm going to compile this. Okay? So let me run it. See what it does. Nothing. It's still the same exact thing. So what did I do?
You have to put in a question.
Right.
Like what is your input question going to be?
Alright, so let's, so I really just gave it new functionality. I just haven't done anything with it yet. It's like I know some German, but I'm not using it right now. I know it, I'm just not doing anything with it. Okay? Alright, so now I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to output something on the screen. Please enter your name. Okay, good enough. So now I'm going to output, please enter your name on the screen. There it goes. Please enter your name, the program's done. Okay.
It's not allowing you to actually type anything in.
Right, because I haven't done anything yet. So now we want to use keyboard, because keyboard is the new scanner. We have keyboard, which is of type scanner. So keyboard, now scanner, so keyboard is of type scanner, has a bunch of stuff we can do with it. And one thing we can do with it is get input. I can do next line. Alright. So now what's going to happen is it's going to be blinking right there. Please enter your name. Ken. Press any key. What it's causing the computer to do is get input for a line and then wait. Now, okay, see how it says please enter your name, but it's blinking on the next line? I want to blink up here. How can I fix that? Anybody?
Next, without the line.
Right here?
Yeah, get rid of the line.
Oops.
Aha, remove the ln from print line. Very good.
Next
Alright.
word.
Next works, but it's not going to, the part that was causing it to be on the next line was the print line. So now it's up here. Alright, so next is working. So we got input for my name. Everybody see that? And where do I want to store it? Now I'm telling it to get input for my name. .next says get the next token, which means the next things I enter up until the token separator, which we'll talk about in a second. But so get input and store it in name. And what type of variable is name? It's a string. So now I'm going to output what I enter. So now I should get input for my name, then I should output it back on the screen. So if I enter Ken, what should I get? If I Oops, so I hit the wrong character. If I enter Bob, get Bob. Everybody see what it's doing? What happens if I enter Ken Dewey?
It'll print can't do it.
Prints just Ken. Huh. Well, what if I modify this to say next line? There's a big difference. Okay. Okay, the difference between next line and next is next line gets the entire line until the enter key. The enter the line. My name could have spaces, everything in it.
You put like, if you put your full entire name in there.
I can put my entire name, Kenneth, Charles, Dewey, whatever. Okay. Next gets until the next token.
Space.
It could be a space. It could be a enter key. Okay. So let me show. Let's change it back to next. I'm just copying those lines down, just to show you what it does. Okay. Okay. Now I just changed it to keyboard.next and output name, then keyboard.next output name. The only thing I did is I removed the string from name because we already declared it. All right, watch what happens. So I enter Ken, and output Ken, and it's still blinking, so I can say Bob. Okay. But if I run it and I enter Ken Dewey, Ken went in the first one. The space was the end of the token, so then Dewey went into the second one. So I could actually declare first and last name all at the same time. And would that be an issue, you think? What if I entered a middle initial? Then that would cause a problem. Then I'd end up with C as my last name or something. But yeah, next gets to the next token. So let's go back to the slides for a second. All right, so we import the scanner. Beginning of the main, we include this statement. Okay. After declaring stdin as shown, you can read input with next line. Now, stdin is what most people use. It stands for standard input, which should be our keyboard. But a lot of times, people use keyboard. Or you could use puppy. I don't care what you call it. You can use anything. It doesn't matter as long as you're consistent throughout. Okay? Alright, here's an example of our friendly hello. Let's see what this program does. Okay? We added this line up here. We added this import statement. Okay? So we're bringing in the functionality of the scanner class to our hello program. Okay? We're declaring a scanner object. So stdin, what type of variable is this?
Scanner.
It's a scanner, exactly. It's going to give us the capability of getting input from the scanner class. Then we're defining a variable called name, which is a string. We're saying, hey, please enter your name. I'm doing next line. I'm getting that into name. Then I'm outputting, hello, your name. So rather than just hello world, now I can say hello Ken, hello Bob, hello Daniel, hello whoever. Okay? Ever see how that one works? Pretty much what I just did on mine. Okay. A couple other things we could use. We could use next int. What do you think that'll get? Integer.
Next integer.
Next long would get long. Next float would get float. Next double would get double. Next gets until the next white space. This is skip leading white space until a token is found. Then return a token as a string value. So if I entered, let's go back to my program. So since I have next in there twice, I think. What if I run it and I enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Ken. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Dewey. What do you think I'm going to get? So next skips the preceding white space, then gets the next token until the next separator, which will be the space. Then it skips all the next white space until it gets up to the next value. Everybody okay with that? So think about it. Has anyone ever accidentally put a space in something and you notice that the programs automatically strip off the space? Well, this does it for you. All right. All right, let's look at some other ones. Let's try the next int. All right, I'm going to mess up here real quick. All right, I'm going to tell me I have a variable called name. Actually, I'll do it on the second one. I have a variable called name. Now I'm going to get input for an integer into name. Will that work? What type of variable is name?
String.
So I'm going to go to compile, and it's going to say, whoa, 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 we got a problem. Error, incompatible types. Got line 13. Goes right to there. It says, name equals keyboard.nextInt. I require a string because name's a string. I found an integer. Okay, so let's fix it. Will that fix it? I think, will that fix it? Alright. So if I enter my name, and a space, and then 49, it put Ken into the name, and put 49 into the age. Okay? Everybody see that? See how that's working? Kinda, maybe, yes, somewhat. Alright, I just got input for an integer for next int into age. And I stored it as an integer. Okay? What if, I'm going to screw this up. Actually, I want to change this back to next line. Just for the heck of it. I'm going to do something else here. Okay, I'm going to please enter your last name. Okay, now I'm going to output man, I can't type tonight. I'll see where I'm going with this in 1 second. Alright, so I'm going to get input for first name, or for name. Yeah, I'll change it to first name. Let's make it all pretty. Alright, so I'm getting input for first name, outputting first name. Getting input for age, outputting age. Getting input for last name, outputting last name. Everyone with me? No problems. Alright, let's see what it does. First name, Ken. Oh, I didn't prompt for the age. Hold on, let me fix that. Sorry. Okay. Ken, enter your age, 49. Something happened.
The input, or waiting for the input on the next line.
I can't enter anything. Watch. Ken, 49.
Oh, it's something about the keyboard variable because you're sharing.
You can only
it.
input 2 variables.
The next line's reading your enter key, and therefore.
This is the problem many people have, and it's very hard to fix. Let me explain what's happening. Mike knows exactly what it is. Y'all agree this is getting the entire line into my first name? Let's verify that. Let's go. Ken C. Dewey. Obviously, it got my whole name because I used the next line. Now, when I enter my age, it skips from that point on. Let me explain what happens. Let's look at what next int says. Skips leading white space until an integer is found, returns the integer value. Okay. So, right here I said please enter your age, and I'm saying give me the next integer. Get the next integer stored in age. So when I entered 49, what did I do after 49? I hit enter. Does next int get rid of the new line like next line does? New int does not remove the enter key. Think of when I'm typing as like an input stream. It's just keeping sending characters one after another. Spacebar, letters, enter keys, whatever I type, okay? So when I did next int, it got the age, but then I hit enter. So that enter key still left in the input stream. So then when we said please enter your last name, there was already something there. And new next line gets up until the enter key. It goes, already found an enter key. So it grabs the enter key. So how do I fix that? Well, a couple different ways. I can just do this. That's going to grab the next thing out of the input stream, whatever it is. Let's try it. 49. Okay. Oh, it's got to be next line. Hold on. I need a prompt from... Okay, no, that's right. That should do it. Hold on. Am I doing something wrong? There it goes. Yeah, it had to be next line. Sorry about that. So everybody see what that did? So I entered Ken up here. Then I entered 49. And what this thing said was gobble up the new line. Get rid of the enter key. Just don't do anything with it. It really confuses people. Everybody okay? You really because you will see that on one of your programs. I forget which one it is. Is it this next one, Mike? Number 3? I can't remember.
I can't either. I think so.
Okay, I think it's this one that needs it. But
Hey, say that, that's it again. It got,
okay, this right here, next int, gets the integer I entered. So when I entered 49, it took the 49. But then I entered 49, then I hit the enter key. Next int did not remove the enter key. The enter key is still in the input stream. This right here says get rid of everything in the input stream. Or get the next item, which happened to be the enter key. So if you know you're going to be into an integer, and then an enter, make sure you put that in there. Because right, this removes enter.
And that only happens with, you're saying next in?
Next double, next float, next, yeah, just those though. It doesn't, remember, next line is going to get the whole line anyway.
On page 94 and 95, this is explained in the book.
Oh, they do talk about it, okay.
Yep.
94 and 95 talks about it.
Does that
So.
really if you're getting an integer and then you're getting another string after that?
Yeah, because if I was getting an integer, my program was over, I'm done.
Right.
It's not an issue. Watch. So let me comment this out. Okay? So I commented all that out. So now I'm going to Ken 49 and I'm done. But what happens is that last enter key kind of went out into space somewhere. It was left over. Okay? But if I want to get input after that, I need to include this. Now I can keep enter it. So 94, 95 you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So make sure you read that. Fixes it. Alright. You're going to see that so many times people say, it keeps skipping my whatever it is. I don't know what I have you get input for, but it keeps skipping it. Is everybody okay on that? Alright. So it is in the book. So it's in chapter 3?
Yeah, chapter
Okay.
3.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not on the slide, so. Alright. We okay with that? I'm not going to try all the rest, but they're the same for float and double and long. Alright, what is white space? White space refers to all characters that appear as blanks on the screen or printer. It could be a space, tab, or new line. Okay? Alright. It says the leading white space refers to white space. Okay, we got that. Now what's a token is a sequence of non-white space. So it gets until the next token. Like I said, next. Then, it goes on for the next one. Alright, what happens if the user provides invalid input? Well, let's try that. Okay, I'm going to go back to my program here real quick. Okay, and I'm going to enter your first name, 49. Was that an invalid input?
Yes.
Yeah, but why did it take it?
Because we didn't specify for it not to.
Actually, we did. But couldn't 49 be a string as well? Couldn't a number be in a string?
ASCII.
Yeah, it can. Age. Whoa, there's where the problem was in. Because a string can contain numbers and letters. Can contain anything. But an integer can only contain an integer. So when I entered that, it basically says, and the way you read these errors, start at the bottom. It says Dewey can hello.main, that method, the main method in that program, line 14. So let's go see what's on line 14. Line 14, I'm going to view line numbers so it's easier. Line 14 right here, this next int. So it says line 14, something happened. Well, 14 called next int, which called next int, which called next, which calls throw an exception. So basically it died. What's wrong with it? Input mismatch exception. But if that's true, then why does it compile and run?
Because it's written correctly. It's just
Correct. Right. It's written. It's a runtime error. It's something when I'm running it, there's a problem. Okay. And is this really a good way to write a program like that? No, because people always enter the wrong data. So we really need to put some error checking into it, which we will later on. We just don't do that yet because that gets a little more complicated. Okay.
Making it more user-friendly.
Yes. Because you really want it. You never want your program to crash.
Right.
Can you imagine if you're flying and playing all of a sudden, you're done. You want it to recover from the errors. Okay. So, this is the Java virtual machine prints it on an error, and then you die. Your program dies. So we'll worry about the rest later on that. Okay? Okay, here's next double. Okay? We're getting input. We inputting the scanner class so we can get input. Without that, you can't get input. Actually, let's try that. Let's make sure my program still works. Ken 49 Dewey. Everybody agree the program still works when I provide the correct input. I'm going to get rid of this scanner class at the top. I'm going to comment this baby out. Whoa, all of a sudden I got two errors. It says, cannot find symbol. What symbol? Scanner. So right here it says, dude, I have no clue what you're talking about. That's not a built-in data. It's not a string. It's not an int. It's not a float. It's not a double. So that's why we need the import. Okay, so import's kind of required. Now when I put that back in there, instantly it starts working. All right. So import. And we have our class name. So what would our file name have to be?
printpo.java.
All right, printpo.java with two capital P's. All right. We got our main method. Then over here we are defining our variable stdin. Which type is it?
Static.
Okay. Which type is price? Double. What type is quantity? Integer. Okay, easy enough. All right. So stdin is of type scanner. Could I call this something else? Could I have called price something else? I can call any of these something else, as long as I'm consistent. All right. It says price of purchased item. Now down here we're doing stdin.next double, so I'm going to get input for it. What's going to happen is it's going to output on the screen price of purchased item with a colon and a space and be blinking right there. The next double is going to get the next double into price. Then I'm going to say quantity, and it's going to be blinking again. I'm going to say next integer. I'm going to get the next integer. Okay. Then total purchase order equals plus price times quantity. So what do you think? Let's try this thing and see if it actually works. Let's go to 47. All right, let's take his program. I'm just going to grab the middle part because I already have the rest. Okay, let's see if it actually works. All right. Okay, there's his program, all except for the import statement, which I already have. Let's run this thing. Compiles. Okay, price of purchase item, $6. Quantity, 3. $18, so it works. Yay. All right. So everybody see how that works? Okay. Few line numbers, get rid of those. All right. So we use next double instead of next int. We could have used either. Now, with next double, what if my purchase price is only 6? Could I do that? Even though it's a double, could I enter just a 6? Sure I can. So we'll do 6 and 3. Still get 18. Because the 6, even though it has no decimal place, the double says, okay, you're an idiot. You forgot your decimal, and it puts it in there for me. Now let's do the opposite. So purchase price is 6.0. Now quantity of 3.0. Will that work?
No.
Whoa! Because it's not an integer. You can't put a double into an integer. Okay. All right. All right, here's one with the next, which I've already showed you an example of that. Please enter your first and last name separated by a space. The first next will get first. The second next will get last because there's a space between them. Then I'll output the first initial and the last initial. Now this is nearly identical what you need to do for your homework. So the examples I gave you in this program here, you should be perfect. Okay? Everybody okay on these basic things we've covered? We've only touched on some of the components of the scanner class and of string variables, but it's enough to get your homework done. Okay? Everybody good with that? All right. I think that's the end of chapter 3. Yep.